What's up, metalheads? Welcome to the Scrap Metal Podcast, the show for the misfits who've been listening to the same music since high school. I'm your host, John von Frankenstein, and joining me today is my metal thrashing mad co-host, Chris. Chris, I gotta ask you, man, how you feeling?
I gotta say, I'm feeling like a detective.
Feeling like a detective, Dick Tracy, if you will, or perhaps Bruce Wayne, the world's greatest detective. Chris, does this feeling of being a gumshoe have anything to do with how you're keeping your heavy metal street cred?
Probably not. But recently I have started watching the show Only Murders in the Building. Okay. This is a show starring Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, where they are fans of true crime podcasts. And then a murder happens in their apartment building, and they decide to investigate the murder. And so it is this murder mystery, and they start recording a podcast as they're trying to solve the murder. And so I am currently in the middle of the third season. Every season there is a new murder for them to solve. I don't know why people keep getting murdered in this one apartment building in Manhattan, but
they should move.
Yeah. But it's a lot of fun. It's very funny. Obviously, Martin Short and Steve Martin are very funny. You know, both of them are really funny. Selena Gomez is great in this show. And it's funny. It takes place in New York City, in Manhattan. But in the first season, there's an episode where they go out to Long Island and they start naming all these terrible things that happen to them in towns on Long Island, where they're like, oh yeah, I got crabs in Massapequa. And
is that what that's from?
Yeah, because I just saw that clip making the rounds. Yeah. And Martin Short says, he got drunk and rode a horse in Syosset. And then one of my favorites is Steve Martin says Steve Martin plays an actor who used to be in a detective show in the 90s. He talks about how he shot an episode in Hempstead and how it doubled for Beirut. And I'm like, that's so fucked up. Fuck you, pal. But it's really funny. It's really good, and I'm really enjoying it. And it took a while for me to get into it because I'm not into true crime.
Right.
But I do love a good mystery. And so I saw people talking about it where no, it's not just people into true crime, it's a murder mystery. I'm right. That actually sounds like a lot of fun. And it has been a lot of fun, and I've been really enjoying it.
That's awesome. I got to check that out. I've seen advertisements for it and stuff like that. And I've seen that clip before. Yeah. Where they're Martin Short's riding in the back seat, yes. I think, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I've seen that before and have thought that it was pretty funny because they're oh, this is what Hollywood thinks of Long Island. And I'm I mean, it's pretty accurate. That is awesome. I would be curious if you had to rate each season on a tier list.
Yes.
I wonder how you would kind of organize them. And recently, you taught me about seeds. You taught me about how they work and where to put them. And following in that theme, you're now introducing me to tier lists, but not tier lists for Netflix or Hulu shows. I don't know what streaming service the show is on.
Hulu.
But we're talking about a tier list for Metallica covers. And thank goodness I looked at Chris's notes before we recorded this episode because I understood it as covers that Metallica has done. But no. These are covers that other artists have done of classic Metallica songs. So, Chris, are you excited to once again teach me about something that's been a thing on the internet for the last 5 years, apparently, that I have just not fucking gotten on the up and up on? Are you excited for this Metallica covers tier list?
I am so excited for this Metallica covers tier list. I thought this would be a lot of fun to, debate and rank and just listen to all of these different covers of Metallica songs because there's so many. And that's the thing is that I've put together a list of 18 songs for this tier list. There are way more than 18 covers of Metallica songs.
Oh yeah.
The Metallica Blacklist has 60. So and that's just one album. So there's so many covers out there. There's so many great covers out there. And I thought a band like Metallica, they're such a popular band, the most popular metal band. So many people throughout music love this band. And I thought it would be fun to start doing these kinds of tier lists, and I thought covers of Metallica songs would be a great place to start because we're both fans of Metallica and we're both fans of, songs being covered, whether that's in the same style, in a different style, artists taking a song and making it their own. So I thought this would be a lot of fun to, rank and debate and see which Metallica covers come out on top.
Absolutely. I'm excited for this. Like, I had a lot of fun doing our, seed episode, our head-to-heads for our mascots, and that Battle Royale episode. So when you brought this idea up, I was really excited to finally understand what S tier means. So do they stand for anything, or is it kind of like bass, soprano, alto, like that sort of thing?
It's really just you have S, and I'll show you in a minute. You have S,
all right,
and then you have A, B, C, and D. Now, because we only have 18 songs, I wasn't going to include like an F tier. I've seen some where people like make up tiers and all of this and that. And I see it a lot on like Reddit where like someone creates James Bond movie tier list, James Bond book tier list, James Bond title song tier list. That's where I've seen a lot of them recently. So you'll see a lot of that, and sometimes people will do a joke where it's like there's 40 things to choose from, 39 of them are in S tier, and then there's one in F tier, and it's just blank in the middle. And so there's a lot of fun you can have with tier lists. I'm hoping that's not where we end up today. I'm hoping we get a pretty good spread of Metallica covers from S to D tier, and I'm really excited to jump in.
All right, let's go for it. You're taking the lead here on this one, so I am in your hands, my friend.
All right, so like I said, as you can see, we have our tier list, S through D tier, and we are going to take a look at these different songs and debate where we think these songs belong on this tier list. So the first cover we're going to talk about is Ghost, and their cover of Enter Sandman off of the Metallica Blacklist. Now, this is the song that kind of inspired this idea for me. I heard this cover and I was like, you know what? It would be there's so many Metallica covers just on this Blacklist album. And just across the board, there's so many Metallica covers. I think this would be a fun topic to debate and discuss. In typical Ghost fashion, this song starts out in a very different style from the original song.
Yeah.
I always go back to their cover of Here Comes the Sun, which does not sound like the original at all. But I love that that's what Ghost does with their covers. But as much as I love that, for those listeners who remember our Hot Takes episode that one day we'll get to on the recycling bin if I ever get my shit together and edit those fucking episodes. But you may know
There's still hope for us.
Yes, you may know that all the way back then, I revealed that I really don't like the song Enter Sandman by Metallica. Yeah. So this was a tough one for me because I enjoy Ghost and I enjoy what they did with the song. But because I really don't like the song they're covering, I kind of want to put this in B tier. What do you think?
I was going to say C tier.
Interesting.
Because it starts out very different from Enter Sandman.
Yes.
But then just becomes an Enter Sandman cover.
Yes.
So it's not like their cover of Here Comes the Sun, which is like flipped into a minor key for the whole song and it sounds very dark. I would have loved, what I was excited for when I heard that they were going to be on the Blacklist album was for them to do something like a darker take on Enter Sandman. And it was just a cover of Enter Sandman. So I was kind of like, nah, I'll take it or leave it. It's not quite D tier for me, but I would say C tier.
All right, since we're kind of in the middle, I think we'll put it in C tier and maybe we'll keep it higher in C tier, because I'm thinking as we put songs in this tier list, we can also change what order those songs are in. So maybe we find a song that we think is C tier but better than Ghost, and it can go above it, or maybe there's other songs that are C tier and they're all worse than Ghost. So we can see as this goes on where we want to put these songs.
All right, you got it.
The next song I want to talk about is Anthony Vincent and his cover of Master of Puppets in 50 styles. You know, we're talking about changing up the styles that a cover is done in, and that is what Anthony Vincent does. His YouTube channel, formerly known as 10 Second Songs, he does covers of songs in 10 styles, 15 styles. With Master of Puppets, an 8.5 minute long song, he did it in 50, actually 51 styles, if you want to include the fact that he always does the original Metallica style, and the last style he does is Ozzy Osbourne. I think this is a phenomenal cover. Anthony Vincent does an amazing job. He always nails the sound of the music when he does these different styles. In this cover, he really nails Dave Mustaine's voice for the Megadeth version, Billy Corgan's voice for Smashing Pumpkins, Chris Cornell's voice for a Soundgarden style. You know, he does all four of the big four. He does Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax. He very quickly does a Dream Theater version, which is hilarious. He does a soap opera intro. I do remember enjoying the cover and then watching my other favorite YouTube channel to bring up the Charismatic Voice, and Elizabeth reacted to this. And I remember her getting so freaked out at the clowncore section of this song, which is just so fucking funny. So I absolutely love this. I 100% want to put this in S tier. What do you think?
I think it deserves it because Anthony Vincent is just, like you said, he's spot on when it comes to the vocal impressions, and he puts the time and effort in.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Just because it's each style gets 10 seconds to be highlighted pretty much, it doesn't mean it takes just a couple minutes of effort to go into this, because you got to imagine he's now producing the covers, producing each section, recording it, and having to dial in each singer's sound and everything. You know what I mean? To make sure that he's getting it so that it's recognizable and not just something where you're going is that is that Dave Mustaine? Is that supposed to be Billy Corgan? Yeah. So, was it a little gimmicky? I guess you could say that, but it's so impressive, and it takes so much talent to be able to do that, and patience to be able to do something like that. So yeah, I agree with you. Definitely S tier.
All right, so here we go. Master of Puppets in 50 Styles by Anthony Vincent, going right up to S tier. All right, as we move on, we move to another YouTuber who got in on the Master of Puppets craze when Stranger Things used Master of Puppets, and that is Robyn Adele Anderson and her cover of Master of Puppets. Once again, someone who excels at playing music in a different style. She got her start with Postmodern Jukebox, who does, old-timey swing and jazz style covers of modern pop and metal songs, and then she spun off doing her own thing, and she does a phenomenal job. She's actually covered a bunch of Metallica songs. She's done Master of Puppets, obviously. She's done Fade to Black. She's done Enter Sandman. She has done Nothing Else Matters, but I feel that Master of Puppets is her best Metallica cover, and some of the songs that she has also covered from Metallica, other people that we're going to talk about, have done a much better job. So I love this cover. I'm kind of split. I want to say this is either a high A tier or a low S tier. What do you think?
So I guess the fact that we have another Master of Puppets cover is something that for me would put it on a lower tier.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I love a good jazz and swing style cover of something. That's what makes Richard Cheese so much fun.
Yes.
But I mean, I would put her up there at A tier just because it was part of the Stranger Things craze of Master of Puppets, everyone doing their version of Master of Puppets, everyone doing their guitar cover of Master of Puppets.
Yep.
So it's through no fault of her own. So I don't know. You may want to veto me on something like this, but I would put her at an A tier for this. But her voice is phenomenal.
Yes,
her voice is so good, and like I also listened to her version of Nothing Else Matters, and that's fucking great.
Yes, it's great. I love her voice. She does great covers of most songs that she does are great. There are times where the style she picks isn't something I'm really into, but Master of Puppets is the perfect mix of she picked the perfect style to do this cover in, and she does a great job with it. But I'm there with you. Let's put it in A tier. I think it's done really well. There is that part of me that's a little bit soured on like, yes, this came in the Master of Puppets craze, which you can't blame her, but she has also done other Metallica covers. So it's not like this was her first time doing a metal song, and it was only because it was popular at the time. She's done a ton of songs. She's done... I don't know if you've ever listened to it. She did Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit, and it's so funny to hear her.
No, I haven't heard it.
To hear her being like, everything sucks and fuck everything and all this and that. It's so good. It's so funny whenever like that, the rapping parts of like Feel Good Inc. by Gorillaz or Clint Eastwood by Gorillaz. It's just really funny to hear this sweet young woman fucking rapping lyrics that were originally done by some like angry black guy or something. Like it's so funny whenever that happens. But yeah, I think I'm happy putting Robyn Adele Anderson and her cover of Master of Puppets in A tier. So we will move right along to Halestorm and their cover of Ride the Lightning. We've got another female vocalist doing Metallica. I think this cover is very well done. This was in danger of being left off the list because there were multiple covers that I found, like Trivium covering Master of Puppets. I think there was Bullet for My Valentine. I'm blanking on someone else that was on this list that I was like, these covers are good, but they're too good. And it just sounds like a band who's really good at playing Metallica songs. And that's kind of what I felt like. I wanted this to be more of a debate of how much fun are these different covers, how good or bad are these covers, and I didn't want it to be an entire list of mid-tier covers because all they're doing is a very good job of playing a Metallica song, which is why I didn't include like Weezer's cover of Enter Sandman. It's just a very good cover of Enter Sandman. There's nothing exciting about it. But with Halestorm, I thought the fact that it was a female vocalist, plus I fucking love this song, I wanted to make sure I included it in this tier list. And since I enjoy the original, since I enjoy this version by Halestorm, I kind of want to put this in A tier. You know, I really enjoy it. I think it's very well done. And yeah, I'm kind of thinking this is an A tier cover of Ride the Lightning.
So you may hate me on this, but I love Lzzy Hale. I think she's got a phenomenal fucking voice. I think she's got a great voice. Halestorm is one of those bands that's like, it's like pretty accessible hard rock, heavy metal.
Yeah.
But that's not to take away from Lzzy Hale and the rest of Halestorm. But the reason I think you might want to fight me on this is I would put this in A tier above Robyn Adele Anderson's Master of Puppets. Interesting.
Very interesting. Because for me, like I said, I was between A and S tier for Robyn Adele Anderson. So I have trouble putting this above Master of Puppets. Mm-hmm. This is a tough one. This is a very tough one.
I mean, if we're talking about... I see your point about not wanting it to just be a bunch of covers that do a really good approximation of Metallica.
Yeah.
So, like, I just have such an appreciation for Lzzy Hale in the way that you have such an appreciation for Robyn Adele Anderson. But I would concede the second place spot in A tier for Halestorm, as long as they're in that A tier.
Oh, absolutely in that A tier. I will take your concession and I will put Halestorm close second. 1A and 1B in A tier is Robyn Adele Anderson, and then Halestorm with their cover of Ride the Lightning.
All right.
Moving right along, we have yet another female vocalist. Not so well done as the previous two. We are talking about Avril Lavigne and her performance of Fuel at MTV Icons. Now, we're going to talk about another MTV Icons performance in a couple minutes, but recently, Steve-O32, the drummer of Sum 41, started a YouTube channel, played along to the Sum 41 MTV Icons performance. And he talked about how the previous year they had been invited by MTV to the Aerosmith Icons, where they did a cover of Walk This Way, along with like Ja Rule and I think like a few other rappers. And the impression I got is that MTV just kind of looked at the music landscape of the year that they were putting on Icons and said, who do we want on this show because they're popular?
Right.
And so Sum 41 was starting to gain a following, so they put them on the show. And Steve-O32 is like, we like Aerosmith, but it's not like we're super fans.
Yeah.
Then they hear MTV is doing Master of Puppets, they beg to be on. And that kind of got me thinking, we've picked on this version of Fuel before.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking that it might be the case that Avril Lavigne just isn't into this music. She was just asked to do this because she was gaining popularity with songs like Skater Boy and Complicated, and MTV was like, we want you on our show. We think it'll be cool to have, this, female voice from pop punk doing a Metallica song. And so like the band that's performing seemed really into it. She seemed not into it. And so I do want to put this in D tier because it doesn't feel like a very gung-ho performance on her end. That may not be her fault. And I do seem to remember James Hetfield, like they're interviewing him and he was trying to say something nice about it and was like, it was interesting to hear a female voice singing my lyrics. Yeah. And like, it seemed like he was trying not to say that sucked. So yeah, I'm ready to put this in D tier.
And I'm absolutely ready to veto this. With the amount of I don't give a fuck that she performed this with, makes her punk royalty. She went up there and she was like, fuck this. I know Metallica, but I don't want to be here. It absolutely came off that way. It definitely came off as like I was asked to do this and the band is like really hyped about this. And I don't know that it was necessarily that maybe that she wasn't a fan of it, but more so like that was her stage presence at the time, Yeah. She was a skater girl or whatever. And so I don't know. I think that this might have been on purpose. I think that we're discrediting her a little bit. I want to say S tier because she went up there and she put on the most blasé performance, but that was all part of the character. That was part of who she was playing, or at least that was all part of who this clone of Avril Lavigne was playing, because as we all know, she was replaced after some tragic plane crash or something like that. So can we do a conspiracy theory fucking tier list one episode? Musical conspiracy theories?
There you go. That's a fun one. All right.
I'll fight you.
So here's the thing. I thought we might be in agreement here, and I am utterly shocked at the words coming out of your face right now. But for the pure lulls it's gonna get for people to see that we put fucking Avril Lavigne Fuel in S tier, I'll give it to you. We'll put her in S tier. But I'm not putting her above anyone else in S tier. She is staying at the bottom of S tier.
That's fine.
Everyone is going above her in S tier. All right?
You got it. No
But
problem.
for the pure, because, those every time I make fun of Dave Mustaine, the comments are beautiful. I fucking love it. I love it. So there you have it. Avril Lavigne and her MTV Icons performance of Fuel is, in a shocking turn of events, S tier.
As soon as you said you were giving me a veto, I knew exactly what had to be done. I wasn't sure I had the strength to do it, but I pulled through.
All right, so we are moving right along to the other MTV Icons performance I already mentioned, Sum 41 and their medley of Metallica songs that opened the show. This includes For Whom the Bell Tolls, Enter Sandman, and Master of Puppets. Again, like I said, Steve-O32 said they begged to be on this. They were able to do it. It was very well done. I actually saw Sum 41 live, and they performed Master of Puppets almost in its entirety, and that was a lot of fun, like getting to mosh at a Sum 41 show to a Metallica song. They did a very good job with that song. I think as good of a job as they do, this does start to fall into the same trap that like Halestorm's cover of Ride the Lightning does, where it's well done. It's too well done. It's very clear that these guys love Metallica.
Yeah.
To the point that like they're playing it as if they were just a Metallica cover band, which is impressive, but it doesn't make it interesting. I think the fact that it's a medley and that they're able to more or less seamlessly flow from song to song, the way they jump into Master of Puppets immediately with the guitar solo is really cool. So I'm ready to put this in A tier, maybe right smack in the middle of Robyn, Adele, Anderson, and Halestorm, just because I'm such a huge Sum 41 fan. I kind of want to give them the respect and put them in A tier.
Huh. See, I would have put them in B tier.
Okay.
Because of how close they were to the original. They put on a really great performance, and they gave it their all, and they were enthusiastic about it, but it was just, like you said, it sounded more like they were a Metallica cover band.
Yep.
So for that, I think it is cool that they got the opportunity to do that at the time that they did, because of where they were in their like trajectory. Yeah. You know, where their career was. I don't know. I don't know that I'd want to go as high as A tier. I would say B tier.
Interesting. You know what? I'm going to save my veto because there is a song I feel very strongly about later in this tier list. And so I think I'll give this to you. We'll put it as a high B tier. We'll see what else ends up in B tier. But I'm willing to give Sum 41 the top spot in B tier. Because as we said, they do a very good job of playing the song. Yeah. Which kind of makes it boring to a point. Yeah. You know, I think because it's a medley, you're only getting snippets of the songs. You know, I saw them play Master of Puppets live. That's very exciting. But if you're sitting on your couch listening to these covers, if you have the choice between hearing Sum 41 play Master of Puppets or Metallica play Master of Puppets, you're going to pick Metallica. So I'll give this to you, B tier, but I want to keep them in the top spot of B tier.
All right.
So we are now moving on to a band who does a very good job with their cover while making it in their style. That is Motorhead and their cover of Whiplash. This song actually won Motorhead a Grammy which
Go figure.
like Eddie Trunk has gotten mad about, we've gotten mad about. The Grammys make no fucking sense.
Yeah.
But like I said, this cover is very well done, and it is well done in the style of Motorhead, in my opinion, where it sounds like Motorhead making it their own. They change the lyrics at the end where instead of, we'll never stop, we'll never quit because we're Metallica, he changes it to Motorhead. I think it's very well done. I definitely want to put this in A tier. I'm not sure where amongst Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning. Maybe once again somewhere in the middle. I do really enjoy it. I think it's very well done. But in terms of putting it in A tier, why I think like Robyn Adele Anderson, Master of Puppets, again, it's a very different style with Robyn Adele Anderson. Motorhead does a great job of playing it in the style of Motorhead, which is super fucking cool. But I kind of like hearing a violin playing that riff from Master of Puppets in Robyn Adele Anderson's cover. So I'm ready to put Motorhead and their cover of Whiplash in A tier.
No notes. Perfect. I love it.
Excellent.
No, because you're right. They flip the concept of like we've heard a trillion bands do covers of Motorhead in their own style. So to hear Motorhead do a cover of Metallica and make it their own is awesome. So I love that. I love that. So yeah, no notes. That's perfect.
Definitely. All right. So we are moving on to Cannibal Corpse and their cover of No Remorse. This is another cover that I feel like is well done, but I wish there was a little bit more to it. Yeah. I wish it sounded just a little bit more like a death metal song.
Yeah.
Because once again, they're just kind of playing the song extremely well, but I don't know, something about it just feels off. It feels like someone is just doing death metal growls over a Metallica song. And it doesn't sound like Cannibal Corpse playing it. It sounds like Corpse Grinder just doing Metallica karaoke in a way. And we know my opinions on Corpse Grinder as a Cannibal Corpse lead singer. So I am ready to put this in B tier because it's well done, but I don't think there's enough about it to really make it interesting. So that's why I kind of want to put it in B tier.
I was going to throw this in C tier below Ghost.
Interesting.
Because it's exactly what you said. It's a band doing a very good job of playing Metallica on slightly down-tuned guitars with Corpse Grinder's vocals over it. And that's it.
Yeah.
Like it's where Ghost at the very least had something slightly different about the song at the very beginning. This is just the only thing that makes it different are the vocals. So for that reason, that's why I'd say C tier bumped in the number 2 spot.
See, I have trouble putting it under or behind Enter Sandman and Ghost cover of it.
Oh, okay.
Just because I think... Now, that might also be because I actually like the song No Remorse.
Okay.
That might be influencing my opinion right now. You know what? We'll say C tier. A close second behind Ghost. Okay. If at some point I change my mind, I'll come back and put this higher. But for now, I think I'm comfortable putting this right behind Ghost in C tier.
Okay.
So now we move along into almost an alternate universe as Primus covers The Thing That Should Not Be. There is the story of Les Claypool auditioning to replace Cliff Burton in Metallica, and he shows up being like, hey, you guys want to play some jazz standards? I can show you.
Want to jam on some Isley Brothers tunes?
I can play you some Jaco Pastorius. And they're like, we have no idea what any of those fucking words mean. And he's like James Hetfield said, he's way too good of a musician to be in Metallica. So this was a fun, alternate reality, but I feel like it wasn't as fun as I was hoping for. You know, when I listen to Primus, I like songs that, you know, like Jerry Was a Race Car Driver or John the Fisherman. You know, the songs that Primus fans fucking hate. And so I was kind of expecting that. And instead, I got a very good cover of The Thing That Should Not Be. Yeah. And like, I was ready to put this at like the bottom of B tier, but I think I've shown I am willing to be convinced of just about anything. What do you think of this cover? I'm just that good, baby.
I think that this cover is the thing that should not be, because it's just I have on the tip of my tongue another cover of The Thing That Should Not Be, which I think is infinitely better. And mind you, this is coming from someone who loves Primus. Primus is fucking great. I don't even play drums, and you know, at the time of recording, they're holding auditions for a drummer, so I might audition. But I would rather hear Primus doing Pudding Time or Too Many Puppies. You know what I mean? Like, or their cover of Devil Went Down to Georgia. I would rather hear that. This sounds too good to be a Primus cover.
Yeah.
I want it to be wacky. I want it to be fun. I want it to be just like, I want it to sound like Primus. I want it to sound funky. I want there to be something that makes you go like, oh, is that a fretless fucking bass with a whammy bar? Like, something like that to it. That, to me, I struggle with wanting to say I want to put this in D tier. Because it's not a bad cover, but there was so much fucking wasted potential here.
Yes.
In my opinion, there was so much more. There was a much wilder direction that they could have gone in, that they just left that on the table. So to me, that makes it a D tier cover.
You know what? I am surprised to hear that in a way, but at the same time, it kind of echoes some of the things I felt, but I'm not a fan of Primus. I like those two songs.
Right. Yeah.
So I was just kind of looking at it from that approach. But I think hearing your perspective of, you know, there was that lost potential, and plus I think it'll be fun to, once again, put Primus in D tier. Let's go for it. The Thing That Should Not Be by Primus is going in D tier. You know, I think, like you said, there was a lot of wasted potential there. They could have done a lot of fun things with this cover, and instead they just played the song.
Yeah, it was all silly, no goose. And for that reason, I'm disappointed.
All right. So there we have it. Primus and their cover of The Thing That Should Not Be in D tier. Next,
Don't hate me, internet. I'm sorry.
Next, we are talking about The Who and their cover of Sad But True. And we are, of course, talking about
rock.
The Mongolian throat-singing metal band, not Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend. These guys do rock hard. They're very fun to listen to. And this is a cover that is well done. Like Motorhead, I think even more so, probably because they're playing such different instruments, very much in their own style, very much making it their own. I do only want to put this in A tier, even though I very much enjoy it. But I feel like this belongs in A tier. The fact that I'm not the biggest fan of the Black Album, once again, might have something to do with it. But I think this belongs in A tier.
Where in A tier?
I would say between Master of Puppets and Whiplash.
Oh, fuck off. I would have put this right at the fucking top of A tier. I was going to say S tier.
Oh, boy.
Dude, you're singing in their native language.
Yeah, but you're doing my girl Robyn Adele Anderson dirty, bro.
You didn't have to agree with me. They're singing in their own language. They're playing on native instruments. The guitar solo is done by some sort of stringed, like, violin type instrument. The throat singing, it's so good. It is so good. They are awesome.
This is just because I feel like I know you want to put this in S tier. I really don't want to put this higher than Master of Puppets, and like I said, I want to save that veto. There's one cover on this that is very important to me.
Okay.
And so I don't. We'll put this as a high A.
Okay.
We'll put this as a high A. I'm not happy about it. But I'll give this one to you because it is very well done. And it is very cool hearing it on their own instruments in their own language.
Yeah.
It is a lot of
closer,
fun.
Baby.
And this is, yeah, it's fun. And I know this isn't the only Metallica cover they've done. I know they're also on the Blacklist. I forget which song they did for the Metallica Blacklist, but yeah, all right, we'll put this A tier, but we'll see how I feel by the time we get to the end of this tier list. Moving right along, a cover that is on the Metallica Blacklist is the band Off, and their cover, Holier Than Thou. Now, I feel like I spend a lot of time defending Off. And why am I blanking on the fucking lead singer's name, who I fucking love? Keith Morris. I remember talking about this song and Off and Keith Morris to someone. They're like, oh, fuck Keith Morris. He sucks. And I'm like, fuck you. You suck. I would much rather listen to Keith Morris than Henry Rollins. I would much rather listen to the Circle Jerks. I love Off. And Holier Than Thou might be the only song, one of the only songs on the Black Album I actually enjoy. And I know we've talked about this, and it's a song that you don't enjoy. So I'm expecting a fight right now. I think this is another example of a band taking a cover and making it their own in a very fun way. And I want to put this in A tier, most likely above Ride the Lightning.
Yeah, do it.
All right.
Because this made me like that song. We've discussed this on the podcast before. I hate the opening lines to this fucking song. That just that your brain is like gelatin. Just it turns my brain into gelatin. I hate that fucking line. It ruins the entire fucking song for me. And listening to this version, I was like, this is so much fucking better. This is the only version of the song I'm ever gonna listen to from this point on. So yes, applause for you, sir.
All right. I'm so glad that we were able to agree on one of these songs. So we are moving right along, still listening to the Metallica Blacklist. We have Miley Cyrus and her cover of Nothing Else Matters. Miley Cyrus's voice is great. Also featured on this song is the artist Watt, who I think is like an acoustic singer-songwriter. I don't know much about them. But Elton John, Chad Smith, Yo-Yo Ma, and Metallica bassist himself, Robert Trujillo, all play on this cover along with Miley Cyrus. Phenomenal fucking cover. I think it's a great cover. The music is great. Miley's voice is absolutely amazing. I had no idea she could sing so well in this rock style. I am absolutely putting this in S tier. I don't know if it goes over Master of Puppets and 50 Styles, but it might, in my opinion, take the current top spot in S tier.
I would be fine with that because I think a song like this proved to many people that Miley Cyrus was more than just the twerking Hannah Montana, like Disney kid. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I think that along with like a song like Wrecking Ball, where it was like you could tell that she was really coming into her own and all that, but I think that she got a lot of credit from the rock world when she did this cover.
Yeah.
And so, I would agree with that. I think that her voice shines in these settings and this is a perfect example of why she should be doing more music like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, there's not enough great things I can say about this cover. Miley's voice is great on this cover. I also love her cover of Zombie by the Cranberries. She has a great voice. I wish she did more rock music because she has a great voice for it, but she has her audience. She has fans that love the music that she does. I'm not going to sit here and be like, no, I want music. Like, no, like if she wants to dip her toes into the rock and thrash metal world, she can do that whenever she fucking wants to. I just hope she does it more, because when she does, it's awesome. So now we are moving along to a cover that takes some creative liberties, let's say. That is Megadeth and the song Mechanix. Dave Mustaine changes the name of the song. First of all, this is a version of The Four Horsemen by Metallica, in which Dave Mustaine changes the name, changes all the lyrics, and he took out the alleged Sweet Home Alabama part with the first guitar solo, just takes it right out of the fucking song. So, like, I was very confused listening to this cover. The music is very well done, but he changed the name, he changed the lyrics. We're going to get so many hateful comments when I post this as an out-of-context clip on YouTube. I cannot wait. But I will say, because the music is played so well, and because it's played a little bit faster than it is, the original on Kill 'Em All, I'll put this as a low C tier.
I was going to say D tier because it's kicked up in speed enough to make it sloppy. I love the chunkiness of the dun 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 dun. Yeah. But then when it's digga 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 digga, it's like you've just hit the star on fucking Mario Kart. And everybody knows our fucking opinion about Megadeth. But you're right. But musically, it is played well. It's just I think that he cut his nose to spite his face, or whatever the phrase is.
Yeah.
For the sake of making it faster than Metallica.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I would give it a high D tier.
I can do that. I can do that. Are you kidding me? Megadeth and Primus in D tier while fucking Avril Lavigne is in S tier? Do you know how many hateful comments we're going to get? I can't fucking wait. Oh, wait, no, we're putting Megadeth over Primus. There we go. We got that there. You know what the thing is? I've learned how to play the Four Horsemen on guitar, and to Dave Mustaine's credit, it is a lot of fun to play it like fast and sloppy like that. So that's probably why he did it.
Yeah, I love the chunk. I love the fucking chunkiness.
Me too. I love the original, including the Sweet Home Alabama part, which I still don't fucking get. I love the original. And yes, this was a fun goof to have, making fun of Dave Mustaine once more. Moving right along to another potentially popular target of ours is the band 6 Feet Under and their cover, The Frayed Ends of Sanity. Now, in contrast to Cannibal Corpse and their cover of No Remorse, I feel like this does a slightly better job of down-tuning and playing this more as a death metal song. And it felt just a little bit heavier than the original. And so musically, I very much enjoy it. But as much as I love early 90s Chris Barnes, this is 2010 Chris Barnes we're talking about, who is not great. So I'm willing to stick this somewhere in C tier, because even though I love Chris Barnes and his Cannibal Corpse work, this work with 6 Feet Under, not so much. And again, I'm not someone who has listened to a lot of Injustice for All, and that might also be influencing my opinion on this song.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go B tier. I thought you were going to go B tier for sure.
Interesting.
I know you love Barnes. I agree with you, but being a huge fan of the Justice album, it's missing the thing that gets my fucking jollies going, is where when the riff is about to kick in to like the verse riff, there's this bass rumble, the only time that there's bass on the album, where it's just like, and then it goes into the fucking riff. And I was listening for that and I didn't get it, and I was like, oh, that's just a fucking like, god damn, yeah. Like, I love that song so much, and I always love the like, I love that. So it was tough to, I don't know, where did you want to put it again? You wanted to put it in the C tier?
I was going to put it in C tier.
I'll give it to you.
All right.
I'm fine with that.
Now, here's the debate. I do think it goes above Cannibal Corpse. Do we think it goes above Ghost?
I don't know. I mean, Ghost's cover is not that bad. It's not that different either.
Yeah.
This was at least a little different. So yeah, put it above Ghost.
All right, we're going above Ghost in C tier. No, what do you go here? All right, so there we have it. 6 Feet Under, their cover of the Frayed End of Sanity, right there in C tier. We are sticking to Injustice for All as we get to Apocalyptica and their cover of Blackened, featuring Dave Lombardo on drums.
Yeah, that
now,
was cool.
This album actually features Dave Lombardo, and then I think other songs also feature members of Metallica. So the album that this cover comes from, they got other musicians to come in and play it. And the intro to this cover is fantastic. And I love the intro to the original song, Blackened. This is probably the only song off of Justice I really, really like. So I was very excited to listen to this cover. And as we've talked about in this episode, and as we've talked about in past episodes, I love, and I think we both love, covers of songs in different styles that are vastly different. So the idea of classical strings playing a cover of a Metallica song sounds super fucking cool.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, their string instruments are distorted.
Yeah.
And so instead of sounding like string instruments playing it, it kind of just sounds like a bad cover of Blackened.
Okay.
I love hearing Dave Lombardo play it, and I like what they're doing, but I don't like the distortion. And I feel like I'm somewhere between B and C tier with this, because I enjoy it, but I don't. Similar to your opinions on Primus's cover, I think there's wasted potential here. I think Apocalyptica could have done way better with their instruments and with this cover. And I wish they would have toned down on distorting their cello to sound like a thrash metal guitar.
Yeah.
And just played the song, as if it was a classical song. So, like I said, I'm somewhere between B and C tier. What do you think?
I would go B tier.
Okay.
I would go B tier because although they whiffed it on, with adding the distortion on there, maybe just save it for the solo.
Yes.
Had they, how fucking sick would that have sounded if it came in on the fucking solo?
Yeah.
With the distortion on there. But the fact that they had to not transpose, but that they had to adapt the song and a riff for an instrument that is not made to riff on. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The tuning is not necessarily conducive to playing that riff. So it takes a degree, there's a degree of difficulty there that maybe outweighs them having put distortion on the cellos. So I would go B tier.
Okay, we'll put it B tier. Right there with some 41 in B tier. So that's Blackened by Apocalyptica featuring Dave Lombardo, putting it in B tier. Next, we have what is, in my opinion, a classical strings cover done correctly. And that is Vitamin String Quartet and their cover of Fade to Black. I got into Vitamin String Quartet because one of their covers is featured in the first season of Westworld. I forget which song they do, but
did they do Black Hole Sun?
No. They do the music that is playing when Thandie Newton's character is walking around the facility where like she's supposed to be like turned off, but she's actually like aware because she's forcing the other guy to like walk her around. And I forget what it's like exit music for a film or some, I feel like it's like a Radiohead or some shit like that. But they do a phenomenal cover in Westworld.
Yeah.
That introduced me to Vitamin String Quartet, and they release like an album a month of fucking music. So there's like, and they've been at it for like 20 years. So there's a ton of albums to go through. This Metallica covers album is from earlier in their career. I think the covers they're doing now are arranged better. And I think they do a better job of translating the music to be a classical strings quartet. Back when this cover album came out, I feel like they weren't doing as good of a job of arranging the songs for a string quartet. But the fact that they're not fucking around with the tone, they're not putting distortion, it is just a string quartet playing Fade to Black. I do want to put this somewhere in A tier.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say like smack in the middle of A tier would be fair.
Kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking above Whiplash, right behind my girl, Robyn Adele Anderson. So we'll go with that. We've got Fade to Black by the Vitamin String Quartet landing in A tier. Next, we have Scala and Kolacny brothers and their cover of Nothing Else Matters. Now, for those of you that don't know, Scala and Kolacny brothers is a girls' choir and a piano player. So one of the Kolacny brothers is playing the piano, the other is conducting the choir and the pianist. And then you have the girls' choir. And I was introduced to them when their cover of Creep was used in the Social Network trailer, and then I discovered all these other fucking covers of theirs. Nothing Else Matters was among them, and I fucking love this cover. I think this cover is phenomenal. This is what I've been saving my veto for, because I am putting this in S tier at the top of the list. So you can say whatever the fuck you want, but I am putting it all the way at S tier. I fucking love this cover. I think it's a phenomenal cover. I listen to it all the time. Plus their other covers are great. Fucking Use Somebody by Kings of Leon is great. They've got covers of Creep is great. I feel like I really like their cover of Salisbury Hill. That's really good. They've got so many good covers. So yeah, I am putting Scala and Kolacny brothers, Nothing Else Matters, in S tier. You can say whatever you want, but it's already in its spot.
No, I mean, I can't argue, but I immediately recognized them from the Social Network trailer. So they just have such a in the way that Metallica has a sound that you can hear and you know that it's Metallica unless it's Saint Anger. They have such a recognizable sound that immediately called to mind that trailer. So that is saying something, that they've crafted a sound that is easily recognizable for themselves. So for that reason, I mean, not that I can fucking argue with you anyway, but yeah, no, totally deserving.
All right, awesome. So now we come to the final cover on our list. And this is another cover with a focus on the vocals.
Yeah.
And that is Van Canto and their cover of Battery. We've talked about this cover before because I discovered this cover when we were in college. And I was looking for covers of Battery, or I was just listening to Battery and saw, the thumbnail was a woman holding a microphone, and I was like, female vocalist singing Battery. Let's check it out.
Yeah.
I don't fucking speak Italian. I don't know what Van Canto means. I listened to the song, and it's fucking thrash metal pentatonics. And it is like 6 people singing a cappella Metallica. And they have a drummer, but they're doing a cappella Metallica. And I could not believe what I was watching. I thought it was so entertaining, so funny. And the next day I show up and I'm like, you guys need to fucking hear this cover and watch this music video. And I don't even know how many fucking times we watched that music video because we kept finding things to point out and like be endlessly entertained about. So
Chris comes running in like a scientist who just discovered that a meteor is on its way, a direct hit to Earth.
Yes.
Just pushing through people in the cafeteria. Guys, take a look at this. Boom. Lifts open the laptop, hits play, and the rest is fucking history.
Oh my God.
Oh boy. All right. Where are we fucking
It's so
putting this
much
thing?
fun. So here's the thing. For pure enjoyment purposes, I want to put this in S tier.
Yeah.
There's also a part of me that feels like this is like on a level all by itself. So I'm not sure what your feeling is, but I don't know where to go with this right now.
We've milked this fucking song, this cover for everything it's worth. I am so tempted to put it at the bottom of S tier.
Okay.
Simply because it's so impressive, but so fucking goofy.
Yes.
That I feel like that's the only place, unless we come up with an M tier, and I don't think that we have the manpower to do that right now.
Oh boy. All right. Let's cuz I mean, we've got this pinwheel right here. And I could very easily just create, the ultimate, tier specifically for Van Canto. Let's say it's a bright pink. And what did we say?
M tier?
M tier? There we go. It's M tier for Metallica. And we've got Battery by Van Canto reigning supreme over all of these covers of classic Metallica songs. I can't veto that. Scala
I found a way to
Kolacny,
veto your veto,
you
buddy.
found a way. You did it. And so there it is. There is our tier list of covers of classic Metallica songs. This has been a lot of fun. This has been a crazy debate. And I am going to share the link to this tier list. You guys can make up your own tier list. Tell us why the songs that we put in certain tiers don't belong. Tell us why songs that we left out do belong. Definitely let us know, but this has been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I'm so happy that we got to do this. I want to do more of these. So absolutely, like Chris said, comment, share this. Let us know why we're wrong. Tell us your opinions, because we know you will. But we love that. We love that. We're creating a little community here. So definitely let us know exactly what you guys think about this tier list. Chris, I am so happy that we got to do our very first tier list. Listeners, please let us know. Run to our socials. Comment down below on this YouTube video. Let us know who you want to see us do tier lists for next. Let us know if you want us to do more covers tier lists, if you want us to tackle different bands. Just let us know what you guys want to hear from us next, because we had so much fun doing this.
Yep.
And with that, thanks for tuning into the Scrap Metal Podcast. The time has come for us to pack up our gear, but we'll be back to rock out with you in the next episode.
Stay metal, everyone.
Good night.